Hi, we're Mac and Sarah. We travel in our caravan with our senior dog Dozer.
And in this video we are going to share our top 10 tips for touring with your older dog. We've been caravanning for a couple of years now, and Dozer is the reason that we bought a caravan and got started in the first place. We wanted to be able to enjoy holidays in the UK together, and this has proven to be the perfect solution for us.
Dozer is nearly 15, he's a labrador, and his health, well-being and happiness are our top priorities, especially when we travel. So here are our top 10 tips for travelling with your senior dog. Even if you don't have an older dog, you might still find some of these tips useful.
As Dozer has got a little bit older, his mobility has decreased a little bit, and we found that he was starting to struggle with things like jumping out of the car. So we got him a ramp, and it's come in really useful for the caravan as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, we started off initially using it to get him in and out of the car every time we took him out on a walk, but we gradually started to find that he was struggling to jump onto the step to get out of the caravan. So now we use the ramp to help him get out of the caravan as well as getting in and out of the car.
And while it might be a little bit of a faff, like if he needs to go out for a wee in a hurry or something like that, it's well worth it. It really protects his joints, and we can be certain that he is able to get in and out comfortably.
The ramp that we have is actually pretty heavy and a little bit cumbersome and can be difficult to fold and unfold, but there are lots of different types of ramps on the market, so if weight was an issue in terms of your towing capacity, you could probably have a look for a more lightweight option that would suit you a little bit better. As Dozer has gotten a little bit older, he needs less exercise than he used to when he was younger. So finding a campsite with a really great on-site dog walk is very important for us, so we can make sure that he gets the right amount of exercise. So generally we tend to look for a dog walking area that is fully enclosed, where dogs can be walked off lead, and that is a good size for a decent leg stretcher, perhaps so that we don't have to travel off site. And we'll do things like look at Google satellite images to try and get a good understanding of the area and where the dog walk is located, and we'll also make sure that we review all of the Google reviews and things like that, or reviews on Caravan and Motorhome Club's websites.
And we also try to pick a pitch on the site that is quite close to the dog walk facility, because being that he doesn't walk very far, we don't want to spend 15 minutes getting to the dog walk to be able to let him off lead and have a little walk. So picking the pitch near the dog walk, I think, has been a really good thing for us to do for Dozer.
Yes, we had a great pitch one time when we stayed at Back of Beyond. We were literally next to the dog walk there, which is beautiful because it is like a lovely wooded area.
Gorgeous.
Absolutely lovely.
And another site that has a really great dog walk is Rooksbury Park in Wickham near Fareham, and the reason that's great is that it has its own dog walk area on site, but it also has direct access into the woods next to the site, so that's been perfect, and you can go for a short or a long walk in those woods. So when we're away in the caravan, of course, we like to visit some of the local attractions in the area. But more than being dog friendly, we need to make sure that the attractions are suitable for an older dog, and especially bearing in mind Dozer's limitations around how far he can walk and how agile he is now. One tip that we have just started to use is calling ahead. Phone the venue and have a chat to them about their dog friendliness.
This worked out really well for us on a recent visit to Shepton Mallet Prison, which is a dog friendly attraction, but we asked them a couple of questions about the number of staircases and how easy it might be to navigate for a senior dog, just so that we knew exactly what it was that we were going to expect when we got there, and it actually worked out really well. The other tip that I think would be useful for visiting attractions with a senior dog is trying to, figure out, is there somewhere in that attraction where perhaps you could take a little bit of a break, have a little bit of a sit down. In his prime, Dozer would have been on the go all day and he would have had no problem running around and exploring the whole time. But now we try to make sure that even when we're out visiting somewhere, that we're scheduling in some regular breaks for him to take a little bit of a rest. So we'll look for somewhere that might have a seating area that is dog friendly, or a cafe or something like that.
That worked out really well when we went to Bath and we went to the American Museum and Gardens. Dozer loves having a look around gardens, but then we can sit down, have a cup of tea and a slice of cake. One of us can sit with Dozer while the other explores the house, because there are often places where part of it's dog friendly and part of it's not. So having a look for those kind of opportunities is also a really good thing to do.
Our other top tip when it comes to balancing visiting an attraction with a senior dog is thinking about the pace of the trip. So if we go and do a morning out visiting somewhere, then we probably would spend the rest of the afternoon and the following day relaxing, hanging around the campsite, reading, playing board games, and just generally hanging out and chilling with Dozer, because as a senior dog, he's just not quite up for it in terms of going out and about every single day.
No, and he likes his snoozy afternoons as well, doesn't he? So keeping it to a pace that is suitable for him is really important to us.
Our next tip is around keeping your caravan upholstery clean with a senior dog. Now, I would never be so indelicate to suggest that Dozer in his advancing years has little accidents every now and then. However,
it can happen, can't it? So we have these fantastic removable seat covers which can be taken off and washed, and we also travel with plenty of blankets to make sure that we can keep surfaces protected, don't we?
We do, and these seat covers are really great because if your dog does have an accident out of either one of those front or back ends, then you can just whip them off and pop them in the wash. And the other thing that we also bring with us on our travels is some carpet cleaner specifically for pets. So this is really good.
Magic stuff, isn't it?
It's literally magic. Unfortunately, Dozer had a little bit of sickness. He ate something that didn't quite agree with him, and he vomited over practically every blanket and our seat covers and over the floor.
Bless him.
And we were able to take them all off, pop them in a wash to get them nice and clean, and then a little bit of stain remover on the carpet, and it came up like magic.
Absolutely. Top tip for travelling with a senior dog. Now, one tip that we absolutely stick to is about the journey length. So not making Dozer sit in the back of the car for too long. We have a crate in the back of our car, which is great for Dozer's safety, but of course he doesn't have a lot of free movement. So we try to limit the journey length accordingly. So we don't tend to travel more than a few hours to a particular site, but we also make sure that we have 1 or 2 stops on the route so that we can get Dozer out of the car and give him a chance to stretch his legs.
And we also think about the length of the journey versus the amount of time that we're away. So if, for example, we're just going away for a weekend, then we would stick to places that are fairly local, limit that drive to a couple of hours. But if we were looking to go somewhere a little bit further afield, then we would want to make the most of that and stay for a little bit longer as well. So a good example of that is last year when we went to Wales. That was quite a drive for us and for Dozer. So we made sure that we were making the most of that journey time by staying in Wales for a week. And later on this year we're hoping to try a similar thing where the journey is a little bit longer, so we'll make sure that the trip away is kind of slightly longer as well.
And again, there's the option to be able to stay overnight en route, and we did that when we went to Wales, didn't we, actually?
Yeah.
So we were going to the far west of Wales, but we made an overnight stay in a place just inside Wales to break that journey up and give us a chance to relax and give Dozer the chance to kind of reset a bit as well. So the length of journey is super important, especially when we are travelling with a senior dog.
This is one that's probably good practice, whatever your dog's age, but we have found as Dozer gets older, His vet's visits tend to be a little bit more regular.
Yeah.
So when we travel, we always try to make sure that we've got a copy of his insurance certificate, so just in case we should need it. We've got a copy of, the policy document and stuff like that. And generally, most campsites have got an information hut. So we'll also just check in there to see if we can find and locate the nearest vet and the nearest emergency vet. Now, obviously, you always hope that you never ever need to use those services.
And we haven't yet.
We haven't yet, but I think it's also really important to be prepared. That's one part of having a senior dog that I think you have to take into account, don't you? You kind of have to prepare for the, what is it? Prepare for the worst, plan for the best, something along those lines.
Something like that.
So
hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
That's it. Yeah. So we always make sure that we've got hold of that information just in case we should need it, and it also gives us a little bit of confidence as well, knowing that we've got that taken care of should we need it.
Planning for weather is something that we Brits are fairly well practiced at, but with a senior dog we try really hard when it's very warm to keep Dozer nice and cool, and there's a couple of ways that we do that. We have a cooling mat that he can lie on,
which he hates.
He doesn't like lying on it, but we also have a cool coat which keeps Dozer nice and cool when it's hot and sunny outside. You soak it in water and it absorbs the water, and you put the coat on them and it keeps them cool for quite a few hours before you have to kind of re-soak it again. It's a really great thing, and it's helped us a lot in the past when we've been caravanning and it's been really, really warm.
The other thing we try to think about is where our pitch is located. So if it's a site that we can actually choose our pitch ourselves, we'll have a drive around and we'll look and see which is the pitch that's most likely to offer some shade. So be it one with lots of trees and things like that, so that we can make sure that during the day when the temperature is at its hottest, we have the maximum amount of shade as possible. And we've also got stuff like windbreakers and things like that we can put up just to provide a little bit of extra shade. Of course, it does go without saying that if it was too hot, then we wouldn't go away at all.
Yeah. We
would stay at home where it's a little bit easier to keep a senior dog cool rather than in a hot box of a caravan.
We also have some fans as well, so we have some like clip-on fans that we can have in the caravan and sort of angled down to where he sleeps, and we also have one for his crate in the car as well. So it's got like those like gorilla pod type legs, isn't it, where we can have the fan on him all the time, keep the air circulation going as well. So keeping him cool, we do a pretty good job, but as you say, if it's really, really hot, we just wouldn't go away.
Now, this is a great tip, I think, no matter the age of your dog, which is to pre-measure out all of their food for your trip. So we do this with Dozer. We measure out his breakfast and his dinner into pouches, and we also pop in his pouch any medication that he might need that day, and we label them. So he takes U-Move for his joints just to try and make sure that we're keeping him as supple and agile as possible. So we'll pop his morning U-Move tablets in the bag with his breakfast, and then when it comes to meal times, it's super simple and straightforward to just grab out the corresponding bag, dish up his dinner and crack on.
And it's a really good tip to make sure that you actually have enough food and you're taking enough food away. It has been known for us to go away with not quite enough and have to find a pet shop that stocked his particular type of food.
Yeah.
So that's a good way of making sure that you can count up the meals and make sure you go away with enough. As Dozer is advancing in years while we're away in the caravan, we have found it super important to stick to a schedule that is familiar to him.
Now, you might have a dog that is really, really flexible in terms of schedule, when they like to eat and stuff like that. Dozer has always been quite fixed about, I like my meal times at these specific times and I'm very keen on my afternoon nap. So as much as we can when we're away, we try to make sure that we're building those in and taking account of those. So if we're planning a day out, we'll make sure that we're back in time for his meal time or a short evening walk or whatever it might be that we need to make sure we do.
And now for our final tip, and this is one that has honestly made the biggest difference to us, and that is our Buggy for Dozer, or the wagon as we like to call it for him, because it sounds cooler. As Dozer started to get a little bit older, we found that he couldn't walk as far, and we didn't want to kind of drag him around everywhere, but we still wanted to make sure that we could walk and explore places and do things together.
So we researched and found a buggy that was big enough to accommodate the size of a Labrador. Now, obviously, if you have a smaller dog, finding a buggy that's going to be the right size for you will probably be a little bit easier. Yeah. And when we first got it, we did a lot of positive association training to get him used to getting in and out of it, to being pushed in it and things like that. He's quite an adaptable dog anyway, so you know, he got used to it fairly quickly, but we made sure that he was happy being pushed in it in his regular environment out and about before we kind of then transferred that to other locations while we were on holiday.
He gets lots of treats in it, doesn't he?
Yes, and an awful lot of fuss, actually.
Yes, people love saying hello to him in it, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And one time where we think this worked really well was in St David's when we were in Wales. We had visited you know, a couple of places, and the town itself is fairly hilly. There was quite a lot of uphill.
Yep. Good glute workout, pushing that buggy up the hills.
Yeah, so Mac had to do a lot of uphill pushing of the wagon, but it was really nice because we were able to explore the town, go and get an ice cream and things like that, instead of just doing the attraction and then getting in the car and driving back to the campsite. So it was a really nice way for us to spend a little bit longer out and about exploring.
And he didn't really have to do much walking at all, did he? It was a really nice balance, so that worked really, really well. So if you've got an older dog and they can't walk as far, definitely consider having a buggy or a wagon of some kind. Well, there you go. Those are our top 10 tips for touring with your senior dog.
If you have a top tip, please do leave them in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have found this video helpful. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.